Alright guys, we're back on our series of living off the land. It's the time of the year that we try to start beginning to stocking up on some meat. That's part of living off the land. And what we're doing right now is we're tracking deer. We're trying to figure out where they're coming on our property. We know they're coming up into our yard, but we got to know back in the woods where they're coming onto our property at so we can properly set up and set a staging area up so that we can actually take one for our freezer. Now we've noticed here, this is our back fence line here. Now guys, right here, this is one of the things you look for. This is our barbed wire fence. These deer, you look down your fence line till you see where they're coming through the fence at. And we have hair here and on the belly. And up here, I'm gonna roll the wire around now. We have hair right here and right here that has come off of the back, and if we go up one more, there's a couple of hairs way up here where maybe the deer stepped through the fence a little higher at one point, but deer usually like to go under things. So we've got hair in both of these places, and we got hair here. Now this tells us that this is not, because it's a small amount of hair on each one, this tells us that this is not a large deer, which is exactly what we're looking for to go in our freezer. So we're going to begin now to go back onto the property and begin tracking and see if we can figure out where to set up our staging area. Alright guys, after we went on down the fence a little further, we found a place here where they've tore our fence down. And we look right here and we have tracks here. We have tracks here and here. Right where they're stepping through here at, track right here. So there's a track right here. If I move up, this tells you how little this deer is. See that track right there? This is a young, first year. Now that we know exactly where it's coming from, because they've got the fence tore down, and they're going to pick the easiest path to travel. So now we can begin to start tracking and see if we can figure out exactly where we need to be. Okay, we've got a track right here. We see a small track in the dirt right there. They're still headed in this direction. Here's a track right here. Two tracks. There's a track right there and one right here. So this is the two legs walking together. We see another one right here. Another one right there. So we know now that they're turning, walking down this pathway in the woods here. Okay guys, we've got another track right here. So we know the direction that they're traveling.
And it's right behind where we're putting the cabin.
Right behind the cabin. They're in here, and why they're in here is I'll show you right here. See this right here? This is why they're walking in here. They're eating these acorns. There's a coon and a possum in here. Okay, we're out here in our food plot now, and you can see the deer tracks. You can see where they've eat the tops out of all the peas here. They've been munching on the tops of them. So we know they're coming out feeding in this food plot. They came right across right yonder. You can see the path where they've eat the tops out of all the peas. There's the tracks. They come right through right here. Right here. They come right through right here. Right here. Right here. There's actually two of the deer. They eat all these right here. They came right here. They ate right across this end here. So they came from this direction coming back through. So they got this on the way back. They're mainly focused right now on acorns. So that's where we're going to have to focus our attention, is on acorns if we're going to pattern them. Okay guys, we got a lot of wildlife here on the back of our property. Matter of fact, there's a squirrel up there right now. You can take a look at him. We'll show you a clip of that one. yesterday I was over here working on the cabin, and right here behind me, right here in the background in that little clearing there, I looked up and there was a red fox going underneath the trees there. There's a persimmon tree right down here, and then there's one over here behind me. That red fox is over there at the persimmon tree going around underneath it. He was going from tree to tree. It was kind of comical because the pigs saw him, and the pigs come running up the hill, and boy, he took off down through the woods over here and ran right up to me. He didn't even know I was standing there. I was so motionless. He ran right up to me, and then he realized what I was, and he kind of trotted off over here into the woods and stood there for a few minutes and finally left. But you know, there's an abundance of wildlife out here, so I mean, we don't eat foxes or anything like that, but they're here, you know. But we do have an abundance of squirrels and other different rabbits and deer and stuff like that we mainly focus on during the winter months for part of our food source for surviving off the land. So, you know, hopefully in the future we're going to be able to take you on some hunts. One of the things that you want to do if you own property, or if you're looking at purchasing a piece of property, or if you just have a small homestead, is always be conscious of the wildlife that's on your property in case you have to survive off of your land. Like us, we walk around our fences and we look to see where we see the hair on the fences, and we look to see what kind of hair it is, because a lot of times we find coyote hair on the fence. Lots of times we find where rabbits has gone underneath the very bottom, or coons or possums, and it lets us know where we can set our traps to be successful at, you know, eradicating the wildlife that's off of our land that's harmful to our animals. And you know, be conscious of things like that. What kind of food sources? I mean, do you have acorns in the trees? Do you have persimmons? You know, do you have wild honeysuckles growing? You know, what types of food sources that are natural do you have on the property where you're at or where you're looking at purchasing? These are important things as far as being able to survive off the land. Now here at Deep South Homestead, we're fortunate enough to have 7,000 acres behind us that's just wilderness and woods. And it's loaded with an abundance of wildlife. We don't hunt it because it belongs to, you know, someone else, but the wildlife do come off of it and come onto ours. And you know, when we get ready to take something, we do take it here to help sustain us through the winter months and through parts of the summer months too, because we put a lot of meat in the freezer. And you know, hopefully we're going to be able to do that this year. Now, we're not successful every year. I have to just go ahead and admit that. We don't get deer every year. We like to get 2 a year if we can. But, you know, there's times we get none. There's times where we get 1. There has been times where I've taken as many as 3 or 4 so that I make sure I have enough to last all year. But our main priority is 2 deer per year. And, you know, if we can do that, then we don't feel like we've over hunted the place. And now squirrels, we'll take an abundance of squirrels because they multiply back pretty quick. And rabbits are about the same way. But now we're going to take you over here and we're going to set up our ground blind. We're going to kind of show you where we're putting it at and how it's going to function and how it's going to work. So we're going to take you to that scene next.
Okay guys, we got deer tracks right here coming through. Danny's putting the tent right there. And it's going right toward the back of the cabin right through there.
As you can see right here, we picked out this nice secluded place here. We got really a lot of dense brush on each side to hide the tent. Wanda wants to try to stand this thing up herself, so I'm gonna back off, let her see if she can do it.
He's gonna laugh at me.
Probably so, but we're gonna give it a shot. Remember, this is the bottom, the black.
The black is the bottom. This is supposed to be an easy tent. I know. Hold on. Thanks.
You know what? I think the smartest thing to do is to stake it down first.
Stake it down?
Yeah.
And then pull it.
And then pull it. I think that's going to be your smartest thing to do. We got to figure out what's the back, what's the front. Where's the zipper?
I've got the front.
Where's the zipper to get in at?
I don't know. Probably right here.
We'll keep looking until we find it. Here it is right here.
Okay, that's got to be that side.
It's got to be back. Move. Flip it around. Okay.
Alright.
Hey, hold it. We'll get the stake.
Let me pull those. Remember that. Pull the top one first.
We got a
Knot.
stand on it. Getting it? Pull your sides out.
One. Ow!
Hold it.
Okay, we got all the sides. Top should have went out. There you go.
Now we gotta get this thing set up on the ground.
Okay, so I knew how to do it, I just didn't get it done. Okay guys, that's it. Finishing with these, and we're ready. Even though I didn't pop it all out,
Wasn't that bad though?
I remembered pulling, but it's hard for one person to put this thing together. You gotta have two pulling on it. I am so gonna take a deer this year. Right, baby?
That's it. Wanda's in the tent. She's getting her chair set up like she wants them, so she's gonna get her a deer this year, she said.
I think so.
We're hoping so anyway.
I'm ready.
She's ready. All right, guys, we're gonna be setting up our game camera next to watch our trail, and hopefully if we get a shot, we'll be able to get it on our game cam also, get a picture of it. You know, guys, this is just one of the things we want to take y'all on a journey on living off the land, because it ain't just about herbs. It's not just about berries and stuff like that, wild edibles. Taking meat from the property is part of surviving off the land. So thank you from Deep South Homestead.